Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to another thing that I have so much to say about.
Yeah. Our final segment of this episode, we're going into The Lord of the Rings of Power, Amazon's billion-dollar TV series that
They
premiered
really
a couple
spent
weeks ago.
$1 billion on this?
Five seasons worth, they are $1 billion.
Okay. 5 seasons worth, I can see it being $1 billion. That makes
spread out
more
over
sense.
5. Oh, yeah.
I thought they were spending $1 billion on one season. I was like, how?
No. Yeah, with this being $1 billion, though, it holds the Guinness record of the world's the most expensive TV series ever created.
For now,
well, yeah, it'll be topped, I'm sure, at some point. But for now, it's the most expensive. Basically, just a tiny bit of background. It covers the Second Age of Middle Earth, basically the forging of the Rings of Power, hence the name. Also, the rise of Sauron. It has young Galadriel as. Right now, she's like the main protagonist, I would say. And then there's the young Elrond as well present. There's 5 episodes out now. You and I have both watched the first 4.
Yes.
We were going to originally review this episode by episode, but we just, with a lot of other things going on, we didn't, get to make that original premiere time to do that. But we at least have the 4 episodes. We can, kind of just talk about the series in general up until this point. And then next week start doing episode by episode. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll just turn it over to you for right now. What do you think of the series thus far?
Right now, I have been pleasantly surprised by the series. I expected to go in and hate it. Honestly, I expected to hate watch the show. When you were picking this as the show we're going to watch, I was actually dreading it because I didn't want to. I was going to watch it, but I didn't want to watch it and then have to talk about it because I don't like hate reviewing. Honestly, I don't like talking about things that I dislike. And I thought that was going to be the case here. I think it's a solid outing. I know people are comparing it to House of Dragon right now and saying that it's not getting as many viewers. I don't think Amazon has as many viewers as HBO, period, though. I could be wrong on that, but I just don't think it would get as many viewers, period, but they are probably drawing more people in. They are cashing in a little bit on the Lord of the Rings thing, but I still think it's a solid story. The first couple episodes, they've had surprises.
Yeah.
They haven't tried to cram too much in here. They are kind of, they do have a large cast of characters, a lot of different people, but they're not trying to cram every single one into every single episode. Galadriel, I think, is the only one who's been in every single episode so far. Elrond and the stuff that he's doing with the dwarves. I was a little disappointed with episode 4 because they kind of ended the mystery that they set up in episode 2 with the dwarves. What are the dwarves doing? What's going on? They kind of told us exactly what's happening with them. I was hoping to see more with that of what's happening here? Maybe something, but we know what's going on. They're digging for mithril. They found this new metal. I like it. I wish they would have dragged it out a little more, but there's a lot of elements that I'm curious what's happening with the dwarves, or not the dwarves, the orcs who are building in the Southlands. I want to see more of what's happening there. I want to know how they suddenly have this large army there that the elves didn't see coming from underneath them. They're having the elves, I'm caring about these characters. When someone dies, it matters. It's not just a show that kills off anyone and you don't care. That's how I feel about it, at least. I think they're playing it really well. There's been a lot of. Well, we'll talk about the controversy later. What do you think about the show? How do you feel?
I like you. I was surprised. I went into this. Obviously, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. It's one of my favorite. The original trilogy. It's one of my favorite trilogies of all time. And every episode thus far has left me intrigued and wanting to see more. I really, honestly, have not been bored by any episode. The pacing is a little slow. I will agree with some people on that, but I honestly don't mind the slower pacing. I think it's taking its time, and I'm okay with that. even with that, each episode there is things progressing. Like no one is staying just stagnant, not doing anything. Like things are happening, and I like the direction it's going, and the whole there's like this how do I describe it? There's this with Sauron kind of lurking in the shadows type of thing. I love that whole element. That's my favorite aspect of it so far. That there's just darkness that's lurking, and at some point it's going to surface, and you're just kind of waiting for it to happen. I like Galadriel. I like her character. I know some people have some problems with her character. I like her character thus far.
I think she became a lot more likable once she gets to Numenor. But I think that is what's great about the character is the fact that you don't have to like her. She's being arrogant. She's being pig-headed. And she grew. And this is one of the major things that has to happen in most stories is the fact that she is a deeply flawed character when it starts, which I know some people who love Galadriel will hate that because she's like this perfect elf lady, but this is not her yet. She's not that yet. This is
she is
thousands of years before. So she's not that yet, but she's going to get there. And she's, she's growing as a character. She's learning, or at least seems like she's learning how to deal with different people and not just be so pig-headed about her mission. Oh, wow. Right. She took some advice from a human and got what she wanted. By the end of episode 4, she's moving towards her goal again, which she's been kicking against the goads for the past 4 episodes, So yeah, I think it's great the way they're doing the characterization. Now I understand as far as the lore goes, it is breaking lore in certain spots.
And I know we can just get into the controversy right now. I know I have had literally some friends say basically saying this steps on Tolkien's grave. This is they're just honestly borderline furious over this series because of how un-Tolkien it is, and it's nothing like Lord of the Rings. It's just like an imitation of Lord of the Rings type of deal. And there's some wokeness that they say is in it that honestly I have not detected. And I'm someone who I detect wokeness pretty easily, and I have a big problem with that. But I honestly have not had a problem with this thus far.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem with any of the. Okay, so how would you define wokeness?
Well, as far as in terms of this, saying some people have problems with Galadriel's character, saying she's putting down men in some of these episodes, and she's too, quote, strong as a female character. I don't have problems with strong female characters as long as it's done in the right way. We've discussed this in some other episodes in the past. And like I said, I honestly have not, unless I'm just not watching very closely, but I have not detected that side of her. And
that's my thing is she's failing. She's getting put in her place by people. You know what I mean? They literally tried to kick her out of Middle Earth at the beginning of this series.
Right.
She's getting stuck in the middle of nowhere. She's getting thrown into prison because of the things that she's doing. She's not winning. She's having actual struggles. She's a character who has to change and grow. So I think saying that doesn't make sense at all. I know some people have complained about the people of color in these things.
Yes,
and
the multiracial casting.
I can't care about that. I just can't. If they did it if they did it in a way where they were like, oh look, well we're the black hobbits, blah 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 blah, that would be weird. It would be weird, right. And if they made a point of it in the story, then that would be weird. It would stand out, and it would be like, oh wow, you really are kind of just rubbing in people's faces. It's weird.
Yeah,
but they didn't do that.
Yeah, they're not pointing it out.
No, what they did is they have some hobbits which they're called Harfoots now because they haven't all grouped together and settled down in the Shire, which is where hobbits come from. is the settling down of these people. The Harfoots, and there's two other groups, can't remember what they're all called right now, but I literally started reading Lord of the Rings recently again, and I was floored where in the first chapter, the prologue, where it talks about concerning hobbits, they literally mention the Harfoots and two other groups, and they say, and I put this on my Facebook, they say the Harfoots were darker of skin.
Yes, I saw your post.
It literally says that. It literally says that in the book. The Harfoots were darker of skin, like the dwarves that they chased after. And I was like, what? Wait, dwarves were darker of skin? Yeah. So then you have a black dwarf woman in this movie, and people are like having an issue with that, which first of all, I think she's acting exactly as a dwarf woman would have to act because of how pig-headed all dwarf men that we've seen in all of Tolkien's stuff so far are. They're all kind of like, they would need a woman to kind of wrestle the household, and when they're around, push them around, because that's what big, burly, nasty, working men like dwarves are would need at home. I've worked in trucking before, and the women there are different than the women who marry people who work in offices. They just are.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a bunch of miners who are, and that's like tough women. That's what that woman is. The second thing they have a complaint about with her is that she doesn't have a beard.
I was going to say, the beardless female dwarfs.
Now, here's my thing about bearded dwarf women. The only reference I see to it is in the movie, The Two Towers, where what's his name makes a joke about it. Aragorn makes a joke where Gimli's explaining dwarves to Eowyn, and he says, "Oh, there's been rumors that have come that there are no dwarf women, but that's just because when people meet dwarves, they don't even realize they're dealing with women." Yeah. And then Aragorn looks at her and goes, "It's the beards." It's a joke. He wasn't literally going, dwarf women have beards. He was making a joke. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know why people...
For some reason, I thought it was referenced in The Hobbit that they had beards, though. Is that not... I mean, it's been a while since I read The Hobbit, but I thought he referenced that they did have beards in The Hobbit, and I could be wrong.
It has been a while since I read The Hobbit. Maybe it is in there. Maybe it's a common thing. Maybe they're a diverse group of people, and some of them have beards and some of them don't.
Yeah, that's possible. It's possible.
What? Yeah. So I'm over the whole. I'm over the whole race thing in fantasy. I don't care that these characters are there. They're not bad characters. If they were bad characters and we're supposed to not object to them because of their race, then that's a problem. And that is what happens in some stories and in some movies, like Ghostbusters 2016 comes to mind, where they were above criticism because they were women. You can't criticize a bad movie because they've changed something. So instantly you're sexist if you have anything bad to say about that movie. And I just feel like, that does come into play sometimes, but I don't feel like that's the case here. I feel like this is a solid show. It could go south. It could go completely terrible in the last 4 episodes.
Again, we're only 4 episodes in of this 5-season. This 5-season. Of this 5-season, exactly 5-season series. So let's. It's met my test because I have like a 3-season rule for things. What I started doing is I'll watch the pilot of any show, and if I like it, I'll give it 3 episodes. And if those 3 episodes don't impress me, I'll move on. Yeah, She-Hulk did not pass that 3-episode thing for me, but I'm watching it because my kids want to. Yeah. So my son actually asked me tonight if he could watch this She-Hulk show, so I'm probably going to end up watching it with him. Yeah. And I'll enjoy it because he's going to laugh and think some stuff's funny, and we'll have fun with it. But I think that but this passed all those tests. This is honestly a fun show. It kind of annoyed me whenever I just saw so many negative posts about this show when they literally saw just the first episode. I'm like, you're judging an entire series on one episode. Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to compare this to a show like The Office, but I mean, we've talked about how The Office started out not so great, and it turned out to be one of the best TV shows of all time. I mean, I just think you need to give it a chance more than just one episode for judge an entire series. But
what was it? Yeah, The Office had a terrible first season, but yeah, the mystery guy who we don't know, like the guy who fell from the star guy.
Yes,
I forget the stranger. That's what they're calling him, the stranger.
Right, he's called Stranger.
Who do you think it is?
I don't know at this point. I'm still trying to figure that out myself.
Because the thing is, Gandalf doesn't appear until the Third Age.
Right. So it's not Gandalf.
It's supposed to not be him. I think it could be him. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if they made it him, just because of, they're willing to break canon. They really are. Mm-hmm. They're willing to change things. So they could do that.
Out of the realm of possibility.
The other thing is, the reason they appeared was literally to deal with the Sauron problem. Because what happened was, from my understanding, is you had the war where Isildur, cuts the ring from Sauron's hand, and they go up, and Elrond takes them, and they're supposed to throw it into Mount Doom, and they don't.
Right.
And then that's when the Mithrandir, what's his name?
That's Gandalf's. Yeah.
When Gandalf and his other guys showed up, the wizards. Yeah. Because they showed up to basically deal with the fact that the ring is still around, Sauron's still around, even though they had this big fight to get rid of him. Mm-hmm. So Gandalf showed up a little early and was present for it. Who cares? The other thing is, there is stuff in the lore, from what I understand, which I'm not a lore expert on this, but there is stuff from what I understand that says that he may have visited Middle-earth earlier than that, because we know he's older than that. Gandalf's like 24,000 years old. He's older than all of them. Right. So maybe he did step into Middle-earth earlier than, the 3,000, 6,000, whatever years of their history that we know of. So if it is him, I'm okay with it. If it's not, I kind of hope they go with the Sauron aspect of it, because that would be interesting to me. Yeah. As if he's Sauron.
Because Sauron can shapeshift into literally anything like that. I mean, he's a vampire at one point in the Silmarillion. He's what's it called? A warg, I think, also at one point. Like, he could literally be anything he wants.
Yeah. And Sauron is literally the same species as Gandalf and them. He's one of their kind. So I think it would be very interesting if it is Sauron. That to me would make a good show. The other thing that I think is going to make this a good show is we have Isildur. So we know we're close to the fight for the One Ring. We're within 200 years of it, at least, because Isildur died when he was 200 something. So, like, watching that character build a friendship with Elrond, and then I'm assuming this series is going to end when he decides to keep the ring. Mm-hmm. That's my assumption right now. Yeah. So they build up to this whole battle. I mean, just the build up to these characters, and one of them going evil, one of them deciding to keep the One Ring. Right. Like, that's going to be epic to watch. Yeah. This is going to be exciting. We know who these characters are. We know where they're supposed to end. How do they get there? Let's see this ride. Yeah. So it'll be a journey. And just going on to the technical aspects a little bit, like this it's stunning, visually stunning. I mean, it was shot, obviously in New Zealand, where the original trilogy and The Hobbit were shot. You get these great landscape shots, a lot of practical effects, especially like makeup work on the orc side that are very reminiscent of the original trilogy. There's not a lot of CGI like there was in The Hobbit.
that was honestly one of my favorite aspects. It's this return to a more grounded Middle Earth as opposed to a lot of aspects of the Hobbit trilogy.
In the fourth episode, they had this. What's the kid's name? He's trying to.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
What's her name's son? Yeah, he's trying to escape the orcs. You know, he's in town. The place is crawling with orcs, and they had this long single shot of him like sneaking around the town. It's a single shot. It goes on for like 5-10 minutes. It's probably like 3 minutes realistically.
Yeah,
but the fact that they have him moving around the town, and the fact that you're going with him in this camera, it was an amazing shot. I really enjoyed that part of it. It was good. So they're doing cool stuff, and it looks great. Like, and to do a shot like that, you have to have an immersive world. Oh, yeah. You know, because having made a couple films myself, knowing what's behind the camera and what's in front of the camera is sometimes hilarious.
Yes.
How different the worlds are between what's on the screen, and because all you have to do is get it in the frame.
Right.
And how much you can cut off with that camera and show only a certain thing.
Literally anything can be outside the frame. I mean,
anything. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have people trying to make the actors laugh outside the frame, and that's enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I just think it's an immersive world. It's so like, I want to know what happens to these characters. I've become invested in this show. So to me, it's not anywhere near as bad as what I've seen so many people say. Yeah. I'm really enjoying this show, and I want to see more of it. And I hope it gets all 5 seasons, as long as it keeps being good.
Yeah, of course.